Hi and welcome to another solo wargame session as UK is still in lockdown and probably will be for the foreseeable future. Today I'm going to be playing Square Bashing, which is produced by Peter Pig. It uses the Peter Pig 15mm figures, but you can use any size really. I've just got the 15mm First World War figures from Peter Pig. It's played on a very small board, as you can see. This is only 3 foot by 4 foot and it's played on a grid pattern, but I'll talk about that more as the game progresses. This is a very simple, easy game to play as a solo war game because it's an I go, you go, and there's a definite clear attacker and defender, so it works very well from a solo perspective. This particular scenario is based on the Battle of Ors, fought in 4th of November 1918. You may not know the Battle of Ors, you may never have heard of it. You've probably heard one of its most famous casualties, and that was Wilfred Owen, the war poet. He was killed crossing this here, which is the Sambre-Ouise canal. I read once in a book it was described as one final futile attack in the First World War. That is actually far from the truth. This was one of the battles, or the battle, that pretty much ended the war. This is the one that once the British Army had got past the canal, they broke through the German lines, and the German High Command then decided to throw in the towel and sue for peace with the Allies. So it's an incredibly important battle from a British perspective, and from the First World War's perspective as well. The area that we're concentrating on at the moment is the area around Ors, which is here. We also have the villages of Landreki, which was taken by the New Zealanders, over on this side, and Cantillon here, and at the back La Folie, right at the rear of the area. This is very roughly based on a map of the area. It was quite open, flat, rolling farmland, were broken up by a few trees, a few woods here and there. So this is what I tried to recreate with this board setup. The area that is being fought over was fought over by the 92nd and 14th Brigade of 32nd Division, and also 3rd Brigade of the 1st Division as well. So these were the attacking units in this area. And as I say, this is a real great British victory of 1918, one of the 100 days attacks that brought the war to an end. So what I'll do is I've set up the board. I'll take you through the different units, show you what we've got, and then I'll start the game and explain the rules as I go along, and hopefully you'll enjoy this as much as I enjoy playing it. So thanks for watching so far. Square bashing is generally played with 15mm figures, but you can use any size. The important thing is having a battalion. It's a battalion level game, a battalion made up of four bases. And each one of these, so you could think of each of these really as a company, with each figure possibly being a platoon. 4 bases represents approximately 800 to 1,000 men. You will also have machine guns mounted on individual bases, along with artillery pieces also mounted on individual bases, and a base of higher command as well. Both sides will have one of those. They will send out commands, and I'll show you those as we get along. There's no tanks in this attack because they weren't in the November attack of 1918, so I haven't included them. This is largely an infantry base largely an infantry attack against the Germans over here. Now the Germans are occupying some of these areas. You will notice that the board is divided into 6 inches square. This is kind of where it gets its name, square bashing, but it's the same as a lot of other Peter Pig rules. A lot of them use this grid square, so if you do have a board that is gridded off like I have, it's pretty useful for any other game. You can also mark these squares with dots or with markers or anything you want. I used to string up the boards until I made this board specifically for square bashing. You have a maximum of 3 units per square, no matter what those units are. Apart from the higher command, they can fit in with everybody else as well. They only move about on the back square though. It's normally a points-based game. In this one I haven't really. I've kind of given it a generic points value. There is always an attacker and defender, as I mentioned, in square bashing, and in this case the Germans are defending. I've placed them behind the canal. Most of their units are currently occupying the areas. The British Army has to capture at least 3 of these particular villagers to win the game before the countdown timer goes down. I'll talk about that as the game progresses. However, the defender will suffer depletions, and how we do that is we roll a certain number of dice. If they roll a 6, they either remove a base from the unit, or they put the entire unit into reserve. So, for instance, if you only had to remove 1 base, you might just take it off because you could live with 3. If you had to remove 2 or 3, you might want to put the unit into reserve and then bring it on, or try to bring it on later in the game. So what I'll do is I will work my way through all these units now, and I will work out their depletions, and I'll show you what the results of those are. In the Germans' depletions rolls, they lost 5 infantry bases and 1 artillery base. So their defence is still pretty much intact. The artillery base goes straight into reserve. The infantry bases, because I only lost 1 from each of these units, so these guys here for instance and these ones here, I decided that it's better to keep them on with 1 base down and then just take off those. So they've been lost, they're out of the game already. So the first turn is the attackers, or in our case the British. So they first choose an asset, and an asset is one of these things. They have a certain number of things that are available to them depending on the army, the year, and lots of different factors, and they're all based on dice rolls. So we have aircraft urgent arrival, which is reinforcements, point effect barrage, which is one of the artillery barrages, hold the line, which means they're basically dug in and become tenacious defenders, shock assault, which is the opposite when you're attacking, a rolling barrage, which is First World War typical barrage, creeping barrage also known as. We have hasty defenders, defences, and suppression barrage, and a gas barrage as well. And these are the different ones. In this first instance, the point effect barrage is probably the best because it creates a point to attack on an L shape. So if I were to fire here, I could create an L shape on these units here. So this is what I'm going to do. And what I need to do is to get these assets, I need to roll a certain number of these dice. And I've got a point effect barrage, I've got a 10, so I can roll up to 10 dice. I can keep rolling as many or as few as I want, but it is a obviously that goes down very quickly, so I've only got 10 to start with. So I need to roll a 6 on any of these number of dice, and like I say, I've got 10 points to use up. I'm thinking what I might do is, if I throw 5 dice in, there's a good chance then at least I will get some A6. I only need 1 6. So with 5 dice, there's a pretty good chance of that. But it obviously takes away half of my chance for a future turn. So we'll have a go with that anyway. Yes, 2 6s. As I say, I only needed 1. So my point effect barrage arrives. So then my next thing to need to do is to cross off my 5 points here. So now I know that I've only got 5 left that I can spend on any point effects barrage in the future. So I know that the point effects barrage is coming. This is my aiming point. So as I say, it's an L shape. I roll a d6. If it's 1, it's short. If it's 6, it's over. Any other number is on target. British artillery is good, so that's what they're rolling for. 2, it's on target. So that is absolutely perfect from my point of view. Now, a point effects barrage causes d6 hits on each square. So I'll go through each square, rolling a number of d6 and see how many hits are applied to each square. So the first one, 4. And I'm putting down these barrage markers here just to show how many hits there are. The second square in the open, that's 5. And finally, 5. That is a fantastic result actually. Now those barrage markers will remain on until the defender's turn. They will be removed from the board then. So now I roll for each of these squares and their hits. So they've hit, this one has hit 4, this one's hit 5, and this one's hit 5. So I need to do saving rolls for each of the units that are in there. Infantry in the open will save on a 4, 5 or a 6. They get a +1 if they're professional, or if they're in woods or buildings or defences. So these guys here are in buildings, so they get a +1. These guys out here only get their normal save. So let's go through each of these. The first ones, so 1, 6 and 3s. So that's 1.5 bases off. Each casualty is half a base. So you have to reduce them, have to have some way of showing your base casualties. Now I've got these half bases with 2 figures on instead of 4. So I take off 2 and replace with half of 1 base. Now a point effect barrage only leaves 3 barrage markers in the square, so I'll reduce that down to 3. So I remember that there's only 3 there. And then I do this for the next unit here. They've taken 5 hits, so they've got 5 save rolls to do, so they need 4, 5, 6s as well. So they've had 1 casualty, 4 saves, 1 casualty, so that's half a base. So again, take off the base, replace it with half a base. And over here, we've actually got 3 units in here, because I've got the professionals, professional infantry and the 2 machine guns. So because there's more than 1 unit in here, the defender will apply the first 2 hits of the 5 to whichever unit they want, and then the attacker gets to apply the rest of them. So in this case, the first ones I will, as a defender, I will put 1 each on each of the machine guns, because they are harder to destroy anyway. And I will put the other, as the attacker, I will put the other 3 onto the infantry. So we'll roll for them. They're on a 4, 5, 6, but that goes up to 3, 4, 5, 6 because they're in defences. So that's 1 save, 2 kills, so 1 base off. And then we now roll for each of these individual machine guns. They're automatically a 3, 4, 5, 6, so they're a lot easier to save. So the first one, he's okay. These actually take 2 hits each. And the second one, 3, 4, 5, 6. So both of those are still fine in there. As I say, I'll just take off enough of these barrage points so we know that there's 3 in each of those whenever it comes to morale. And because they've taken hits, they now have to have casualties placed into the squares that they're in. So that one takes 2 casualties because they lost 2. The one at the rear, 1 in there, and then the others, they took 3 casualties. So when it comes round to the defender's morale roll, these will count. So it soon stacks up against them when they're rolling for their morale. So that's pretty much how artillery works. Very simple, but quite effective when it goes right like that. So now we come on to movement. Movement in square bashing is incredibly simple. You move based on the 6-inch squares. Infantry will move up to 2 squares unless they're moving through terrain. If you're in terrain, starting with terrain, you have to roll to see if you can get out of it. But you can move generally into any kind of terrain. You can't move diagonally. You either move orthogonally. So I'll show you how I'm going to move. I'll move all my figures first, and then I'll show you what I've done. Okay, looking at the board now, as you can see, I've actually moved forward all these British units. So I've got these guys up. What I'm wanting to do is try to get to this canal crossing and then probably attack into the village there. These ones, I'm going to move them up, possibly to use this crossing here to attack into Ors itself. I've got these guys in the centre. These are kind of just a bit of a mobile support at the moment. And then I've got the final ones on the edge, again, straight to that canal crossing, and they're going to go straight through into that attack. They'll probably get in there next turn. I didn't put anybody through these woods because, as I say, it's difficult to get units out of woods once they're in. You can use your higher command to issue an order to move people forward. Machine guns and artillery will only move 1 square, so these ones have just basically moved forward, ready to bring up the rear, ready to lend their support, and then I will fire with the artillery. but the defender gets to fire first. So now I've done my movement, it's the defenders firing, and then we will go on to assaults. Unfortunately I don't have any assaults this turn, but we'll do the defender firing first. Shooting in square bashing is quite abstract, it's more about assaults than anything else. But you can fire with each unit. Normally each infantry unit only rolls 1d6, but you have to be a square away. So far these guys are under a barrage, so they can't fire out. These guys over here, they can fire. So we've got a two machine guns and also an infantry unit. We've also got the artillery on the back line as well, which should be able to fire. So what I'll do is I'll work my way through each of these units and show you how the shooting works. So over here we have the infantry unit is rolling 1d6. They can fire one diagonal. The machine gun units each are rolling 2d6. They haven't been damaged, so that's another 4. So we're rolling 5d6. 6s are hits. So no hits there at all from there. However, we also have at the rear 2 artillery pieces which are just in range, and they will be rolling 3d6 each. So again, I'll roll those. So they need 6s. So that time they've actually hit 3. So as I say, as a defender in this turn, the British get to choose their first 2 hits, so they will take them on those units, and then the Germans will decide to put theirs on those as well there. These are normal units in the open. These are saving on 3, 4, 5, 6. So first guys, 1 kill, 1 save, and these ones saved. So we've taken 1 casualty and half a base killed. And now we're straight into the Germans' turn. So that was the British, they finished. So now the Germans are choosing their assets. They're going to fire a point effect barrage, and they're going to use 4 of their 8 dice for this. So again, we need a 6. It's come in, perfect L shape of British soldiers. So they want to have it 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot. So we roll a d6. A 1 it's short, a 6 it's over, everything else is a hit because German have got good artillery. So it's actually short. So it falls 1 square back. So it goes there, there and there. Which is not perfect for the Germans, but it does stop the British advance at least across the bridge here. So let's just see how many there will be. Because there's no artillery, there's no infantry in here, I'll just put in the 3 markers for the battery if anybody moves into it. And this one takes 4 hits. So I've got to roll for the 4 separate hits on the British soldiers in here. There are no other units, so it's only the Brits. They will save on a 4, 5 or 6. So let's get those rolled. So that's 3 kills. That's 1.5 bases in there are killed and 3 casualties. So I'll just get those sorted out, and then we'll move on to the next bit of German turn. Now that the Germans have done their assets, it's over to their high command rolls. So now what they're going to do is they're taking their high command, they're going to try to give this unit in here a morale bonus because they're already taking 3 hits from the artillery fire, plus they're under artillery fire, so the most we can reduce that the better. And to do a high command test, you measure the amount of squares away from the high command, including the square that they're in, and you have to roll over that on a d6. So this is a 1, it goes straight to there, so that's a 2. So I need to roll over a 2, and they can have up to whatever their command rating is, which for the Germans is 4. They can have 4 chances of doing this. So first test, 6. They've got it automatically, so we put a morale bonus into that square. It affects the entire square. It says -2 on it. I know it sounds weird that a bonus is a -2, but what you're doing is taking away 2 morale dice from that square. So I will now do the morale rolls. So morale is done first in the first part of the phase, the turn in square bashing. It's done straight after the high command. So for instance, you can give them a morale bonus in this case. Any square that has casualties in it has to take a morale test. What I'll do for this game is I'll take you through the first time that we have to do these tests, and then you'll see exactly how they work. As the game progresses, I'll probably not film them. I'll just speed it up so that you just get the action. But in the first case, I'll take you through how everything works quite slowly. So you get 1 casualty, 1 dice per casualty marker, up to a maximum of 4. There's 3 in there. You'll get 1 dice for a reservist unit. They're not. You get 1 dice per barrage marker. There's 3 in there. That's these ones. If you remember, we put those down. That's what point does. Point effect barrage does. You get 1 dice per the face of the square that after the first it is occupied by the enemy. So that's if you're being outflanked. You get your -1 if it's a professional unit. There isn't. -1 for a machine gun, tank or armoured car. -1 if they're in hasty defences. They're not. -1 if the square contains woods. -2 if a morale bonus marker is present. There is, so with -2, this is why it becomes a bonus. -2 in trench defences. They're not. And -3 if a hold the line marker is present. That would be another command issued by the high command. We then roll. A 4, 5 or a 6 is a fail. We add up how many failures we have. If they pass, they're fine. But if they get failures, something will happen to them, so we'll see. So we've actually got 3 failures in this first one. That's not good. 3 failures or more is run. First, owner rolls 1d6 for each unit. On a score of 5 or a 6, they get a +1 for a reservist and a -1 for professionals. It indicates that the unit is routed and removed and is lost from the game. Otherwise, you go back to 2 fails. So I've only got 1 unit in there, so I'll roll a d6. If I get a 5 or a 6, they're off the board. 6, they're off. They're straight off. So that's how morale works basically in square bashing. So I'll move on to the next ones. These guys have got 1 in there, 1 casualty. They also have, we went through all those again, so we have barrage markers. We've got 3 because it's a point effects barrage. There is no morale bonus or anything else in there, so it's basically they're rolling 4 as well. So same again, 4, 5, 6 as a fails. This time it's 2 fails, so that's a 5 and a 6. On the 2 fails, it's a retire. So first, the owner applies and rolls for 1 hit, and then a casualty marker is placed if the save is unsuccessful. Then second, all units in the square fall back 1 square towards baseline. They apply 6 hits if they're not able to do that, if the enemy is in their rear or they can't pass through the terrain. They basically leapfrog any of their own units, and units which retire off table will lose 1 base and they become reinforcements. It uses up an entire turn, so that's them done basically, and they face figures towards the base edge to indicate that they're falling back. So they take 1 hit first of all. So that's a 4, 5, 6 is a save. So that's another hit, so that's half a base off. They've already got half a base off. So they take that and they also take a casualty. So that casualty now stays with them. And they move back facing away because they are falling back. So this shows you the power of artillery against units in the open. It's not just the damage it does. I'll just get rid of these so we know where we are. It's not just the damage it does on the units, but it is also the morale that it causes while the unit is under a barrage itself. So that's 1 entire battalion lost already by the Germans. Now let's just check over here. This is going to be very different. So again, we'll tot it up. We've got 2 casualties. We've also got the 3 barrage markers. It says per face of the square after the first occupied by the enemy, up to a maximum of 3. We've only got 1 face of the square occupied by the enemy, so that's ignored. A professional unit is in the square, so that's a -1. This is a professional unit here. I've got the marker to say that they're professionals. -1 if a machine gun, tank or armoured car is in the square, up to a maximum of 1. There are 2 machine guns in there, so we get rid of another 1. The square contains woods or buildings. Yes, it does, because that's Ors itself. So that's another -1. There's no morale bonus, there's no trench defences, there's no hold the line. So you see, being dug in quickly reduces the morale. You basically, you know, you're undercover, you're sitting it out. Well, let's see what happens. 4, 5, 6 as a fails. 2 1s, snake eyes, nothing happens. So that's great for them. So what I will do, because they've now done their morale test, I will remove their casualties. So we know that they've finished, they've done their morale test. They're still stuck in there, as I thought they would be. And that is how you do the morale tests. So we move on to the German assaults. The Germans, unsurprisingly, are not assaulting this turn, because if they did, they would have to move out of their unit, their areas. They don't want to. And now we have the British firing. So this is the firing happens in your opponent's turn, so the British can fire. As I said before, firing is not particularly great in square bashing. It's not really something you concentrate too much on. It's basically, you need a 6 to hit anyway with firing. But we'll work our way through the squares that the Germans are being fired at. So first of all, we've got this one here. This is the village of Catillon. So we have 1, 2, 3 British units. They're only rolling 1 dice each, so that's 3 dice straight away. However, I've also got some artillery at the back here as well. And as I said, if you remember, I can fire 1 diagonal square and then the rest have to be orthogonals. And the artillery fire up to 4 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That will add another, let me just check, that is another 3d6 per artillery gun. So that's not too bad. The machine guns are out of range at this point. They only fire 1 square as well. And can we put this one in? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's just out of range there, but so we'll use him to fire into Ors itself. So that's not too bad. We've got 6 dice. As I say, we roll those. 6 are hits. And then we go to the saving chart. So 1 hit, as expected. 1 hit from there. And we do the saving roll. The Germans get to choose who they want to put their hit onto. They will put it onto their infantry, because they can soak up a lot more than the machine guns. They are 4, 5 or a 6 when they start. They're also in woods, so that gives them a +1, so it's 3, 4, 5 or a 6 to save. Yes, it's saved. As I expected, as I say, shooting in square bashing is not particularly great. It's not about shooting, it's about assaulting. But still do it anyway, just in case. Over here, now we've got these 3 battalions. We've also got these 3 battalions, so I'll chuck those in as well. We've got a lot more artillery over here. We've got this one. There's 1, 2, 3, so he's in range, so that's another 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 2 more pieces over here who are also in range, so Ors is going to get battered this turn, so that's another 6. So as I say, with square bashing, you soon get a lot of dice, so you've either got to have big hands or something to catch them in, like I've got here. So again, we're looking for 6s. We might get quite a lot of hits out of this. There we go. Yes, there's quite a few there, so that's 4. So that's 4 hits. The Germans decide which ones they want to put them on first of all. They're going to put 1 each on each of those machine guns, because they will soak up hits. And then as the attacker, I get to choose which ones I want to put them on. So I'm going to put them onto the professional infantry in there. Now these are all actually rolling the same anyway. They get 3, 4, 5, 6 for the machine guns, and because they're in cover, they also get 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll do for the infantry first. Both of them saved, and now I'll work for both of these machine guns. First one, that's a kill, and the second one, that's a save. So machine guns, that causes a casualty in there because the machine gun has taken a hit, and I just need to mark that machine gun as being hit now. Machine guns and artillery will take 2 damage each, and I mark them up just by putting a red tab on there. I really should make some kind of marker just to add, to make it look a bit more interesting, but that's enough for now. So we know that machine gun is now not at strength, and that is the British firing. Then we remove any opponent inflicted barrage markers, so we get rid of these. These were the ones that the British dropped on the Germans. The German ones in the bottom corner won't come off until the British. These ones here, they won't come off until it's the end of the British turn. So they remain in place, so we can remember what is happening. And then we roll for the German reinforcements. Now, the Germans can either choose to bring on 1 unit, or they can roll for several attempts if there was a road. There are no roads in this particular scenario. Normally there are in square bashing. In this one I've left them off. So they get to bring on their reserves. They have the reserve of only 1 artillery piece, and they will bring that on in the centre of the field here, just so it gives them a bit of a choice as to where to fire it out. And that's the end of the Germans' turn. To finalise the Germans' turn, because they're the defender, they roll on the countdown timer. It starts on 21, they basically roll a dice and they take off however many points it is. So that's a 2, so that's down to 19 now. We do this at the end of every defender's turn. Once that reaches 0 or less, then the game is over. So the British are on a timer. So it's the British turn again. We're on to their assets choosing, and this time a point effect barrage isn't going to be very good because none of their units are particularly close together. Probably the best area to drop it would be there, but I'm thinking what I might do now is fire a rolling barrage at the Germans. This has got 10 dice. This is probably the best chance to do it, and probably the only time that it's going to be worthwhile doing it, because it covers quite a big area, as you'll see if it comes. So I'm going to use up all 10 dice to try to get it. So we'll cross off the 10 there, so that brings me down to 0. The rolling barrage is a barrage that really should be fired pretty early on in the game. So I'm going to try this. I need a 6. There we go, there's 1 6 out of 10. So the rolling barrage arrives, and what we do is we take 5 squares in a line, and we place the bombardment there. So I want it here in Landrekis, in Ors, and to that end there. The way that the rolling barrage, well, let's just see if it's on target. Same again, British artillery is good, so a 1 will be short, which we don't want because that'll fall right on our infantry. 2 to 5 is a hit, and a 6 is over. So let's have a look. 6, it's over. This is not great, but it might do some damage to the artillery. That's not exactly what I needed right now, but it might take out that gun line at the back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll get some units caught in this, I hope. And what this does, it puts in 2 artillery hits in each square. So I'll put these into reminders, and these, if you remember, these go on with the morale. And then each square we roll on a 3 or above, it moves onto the square behind it. You can keep doing that up to 2 more squares. In this case, I'm kind of blocked in by this back end anyway, so let's just have a look. Go through each of these. The first one, yes, that moves forward 1. This one, no, that stays where it is. This one, that moves forward, so that's good. I've actually hit some infantry. The next one, That's not gone forward, annoyingly, and the last one with the artillery, that has gone forward. So I know these are rolling barrages, so what I'm going to do is I don't have enough barrage markers, so I'm just going to put these ones in the areas that have been hit. And that could have been good if it had hit those guys again, they would have probably been forced off table. So now we have to go through and we do the hits. Each square now gets 2 hits from the rolling barrage. So we have to have our save test. Just check what that is for. Artillery. Artillery are only saving on a 5 or a 6. So this are 2 hits. Artillery, like machine guns, take 2 hits themselves. So if it fails these, that's destroyed that artillery piece in this top corner. It's saved 1 and 1's destroyed. So it's taken 1 hit and a casualty. The infantry in the square there's nobody else in there, so it's only going to go on on the infantry battalion itself. They're in buildings, so they're saving on a 3, 4, 5 or a 6. 1 save and 1 casualty, so that's half a base off. The artillery is doing pretty well for the British at this point. It's only small, but they're certainly forcing the Germans into having morale tests, if nothing else, straight away. And if they fail, they're straight off. And then again, the Germans get to choose where they're going to put their hits, so they will put 1 hit on each of these 2 guns. So let's just see what they've got. They're saving again 5, 6. They're Notting Woods, so both of those have taken a hit. So that's 2 casualties in there as well. So that's how rolling barrages work. They're quite nice and simple. It would have been a little bit better if it had fallen a little further down here, because it may have caught some of these at the back as well as the ones in the front. But that's the way things are. So when their morale tests come round, they will also now not only have the casualties that are in the square, for instance those guys there 2, these are 1 and these 1, they will also have the artillery hits, which are for a rolling barrage 2. So they're now in pretty dire straits at that back. They're still holding on the front, and they're going to, as you'll see, they're going to be very difficult to shove out of these buildings. Okay, I'll go into the British movement, get that set up, and I'll show you what I've done. So a word about the morale for the British before they do any more movement. This square over here was issued a high command unit from these guys. It was a morale bonus, but because they'd been so badly mauled by the German artillery and they'd taken quite a few hits, they failed by 3 when they did their morale test. So they had to fall back. They've taken a hit, so they've taken another casualty with them, which will affect them in their next morale test. I've put down this marker to show me, so I know what state of morale they're in. There's 1, 2 or 3 levels of morale. This one's got 3 dead soldiers on it, so I know exactly how many morale they suffered from. These ones over here, they only had 1 dice roll, but they failed it, so they failed by 1, which basically means they can't leave that square, so they're stuck in there for this turn, which is a bit annoying, because I wanted to get them in. They would have been able to assault straight into Catillon itself. However, one good thing is it means that this artillery barrage will have cleared by the time they can shift again. So we'll just go on with that. In their movement turn, the British managed to get these 3 battalions and these 3 battalions across the canal, across the bridge. It's difficult to attack across a canal. It's a -3 automatically, so they want to get over onto some flat land that they can attack from a lot easier, because I don't have many units to be able to support them. But they can't attack this turn because they used up to their 2 movement to actually get to their position, so they'll attack next turn. So the Germans now get to fire at them. So we're firing out of here first of all. This unit in assault is no longer at strength because it's only half a unit. Once you drop to half, 2 bases or less, you're not at strength. However, in firing it doesn't matter. They still only roll 1 dice. The machine gun here is damaged. When this is firing, this only rolls 1 dice as well. The other machine gun is at strength, so that rolls 2 dice, and this is it. As I said, the German firing is not great. The ones that are trapped under the artillery barrages can't fire either. However, we do have a couple more artillery pieces over there. This one can go 1, 2, 3, so he can fire into this unit. So he's going to. So that gives another 3d6. So again, we're looking for 6s to hit. That's 1 hit. The British will take that hit on their professional unit because that gives them a +1 on their save. So 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a save, so they're okay. Over here, similar situation. We have a German battalion, but we also have 2 machine guns that are at strength, so that's another 2 dice. They've got no artillery to be able to fire in, so they're only rolling 5 for this. And no hits. Here's a quick look at the board at the end of the British turn. So these guys took a little bit of fire from the Germans over there in Catillon. They took 2 hits, so they're going to have to roll for a morale test in their next turn. Over here, as we said, these guys got across the canal. They're ready to assault in their next turn. And then over here, same again, these guys got over ready to assault into here. I've removed the German barrage markers because they're off now. We've got these guys still falling back. They will have to do another morale test next turn. But we're also pushing forward at least with these machine guns, which I want to get these up so I can support the attacks into these villages. So let's see what the Germans do in their turn. So the Germans in their asset turn, they brought in another point barrage, which landed directly where they wanted it. It's caused quite a few casualties. So the British are going to have to be rolling those. Again, this is really stalling this attack on the right hand side. However, a lot of the Germans have lost their morale, the artillery in particular. These 2 guns were here, they've disappeared off, and the gun on the edge of the board over here has also disappeared off. They already had hits on them. Because they retire off table, they will take another hit, so that destroys them. So the Germans have now lost three guns completely. The guys here in Ors, they were able to hold on. They were fine, as were these ones here, and the guys who were retreating, they've now turned back round and they're okay to press on in this turn. So I'll get on with the German movement and see where we are from there. At the end of the Germans' turn, very little has happened. The British were able to shoot. They caused 1 damage here in the professional unit in Ors, so they are slowly reducing that. The defence over there. However, they're completely caught up in this German advance over here, and they were unable to cause any casualties by their shooting over here. The Germans just rolled a 1 for their countdown timer, so it's still on 18, which is not great for the Germans. They need to speed that up. Let's move on to the British and see what they can do this turn. Well, I've done the morale and the higher command orders and the assets for the British. Pretty disastrous, to be frank. They lost a machine gun over here as part of their morale, and also the unit that is already battered and the machine gun has fallen back again, so they're now going to start to affect the artillery line at the back here, so that's not great. However, their asset was a shock assault, which gives them a +3 dice when they're attacking here, so I'll put that on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through each of the 3. There's going to be 3 British assaults. I've moved these guys past their morale test, so they were able to move forward, and now they're able to attack into Catillon. So this is what they're going to do. These guys are attacking into Ors, and then we've also got these 3 battalions attacking into Landrecies as well. I'll take you through how you work out each of these attacks, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with the first one. The assaulter gets 3 dice for each assaulting infantry or mounted unit, cavalry unit, at strength. These are all at strength because I said if you're only on 2 bases, you're not at strength. So these get 9 dice to start with. So there's a lot of dice in square bashing. There's no heavy tanks assaulting. There's no armoured cars. Each unit in the square that is not already counted in the attack also gets a 1. There isn't any. They're all attacking into there. If we're assaulting the flank or the rear, which we are because we're coming in from the side here, we get an extra 2, but you can only do that once, so there we go, that's an extra 2. We have no other assaulting units, but we have a support square. Oh no, we don't have a support square. A support square is any square that is around the attacking square. These ones will get some support, these ones don't, so they're basically on their own, so you really need a lot of support in this. They don't have a wing in the fight marker, they don't have a fighting bonus, and they're not using shock assault in this particular one. So if there's any defences, the target square contains a hill. No. The target square has hasty defences. No. The target square is trenches or forts. No. So we roll our dice. 5s and 6s are hits. We then work out the Germans. They roll their dice and we go from there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits from that British attack. So I'll just put those there so we can do our casualties in a second. And we'll work out the Germans. Each cavalry or infantry unit at strength. There's 1 in there because it's got 3 bases. So that gets 2. They're not damaged. Each machine gun at strength, and there are 2 in there, they get 5 dice each. So that's one of them, and that's the other one. This is why machine guns are very good in the defence. There's no artillery guns in there, there's no tanks, there's no armoured cars. The Germans will also get support as well, same as the British would do, but there are none in the area. They have to be within 1 square of the fight. There's no winning the fight marker, there's no barrage markers in there either. And each additional assaulting unit, if you were getting assaulted from another area, then you would also count those as well. Minus those, minus dice. But the Germans, again, 5s and 6s, so that's 1, 2, only 3 actually out of that. That's not great for the Germans. We do the same, we apply the hits, and then we work out from the casualties who is won or who has lost the fight. So the Germans have taken 4 hits, so the first 2 are placed by the defender. They're going to put them on their infantry. No, they're going to put 1 each on these machine guns, and the British then choose theirs. They will also put them on the machine guns simply because they've got the same save roll as the infantry in there, and I want to get rid of those machine guns. The British, it doesn't really matter, they're all the same kind of battalions, so they will put just 1, 2 there. The Germans will put an extra 1 on there just to see if they can take them out. So I'll roll for the British first. Saving rolls for the infantry, they are 4, 5, 6. So they've taken 2 casualties. So I'll take those off and put on the 2 casualties straight away. So we start to add up the morale of this as it goes along. The next one, 4, 5, 6 is a save. So that's a save, so that's ignored. And the Germans now, this machine gun is saving on a 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, that's two failures, so that's that machine gun out. Perfect. Exactly what the British wanted there. It also gives the Germans 2 casualties. I hope you're keeping up with this. And then the second machine gun also takes 2 hits. Saves both of them, a 5 and a 6. So the Germans have taken 2 casualties, the British have taken 2 casualties, and then we work out the fighting outcomes. The target achieves more or the same casualties. So 3 hits are applied to the assaulter, then I do the saves. There's no movement caused. The target gets a winning the fight marker to any infantry or cavalry in the square. So they now get a +2 if they're attacked again. That's +2 dice. We also remove their casualties because they don't need to do a morale test. The British keep theirs. And I then roll for 3 hits. So again, I will put 1 on them, 1 on them, and the Germans get to choose their others. They will put it on this already weakened unit. So we'll do this first, 4, 5 or 6. They've saved both of them. The other unit has saved it as well on a 5. So that's how you do an assault. Not great for the British. They've taken 2 casualties. They've not got in, but they have destroyed a German machine gun. Next time it should be a little bit easier to get in there. So over here at Ors, we're working out this one slightly differently because this now has support units for the British. So we're starting with our 3 at strength battalions, 1, 2, 3. So that's 9 dice straight away. And we also have no heavy tanks. We've got no armoured cars or light tanks. Each unit in the square not already counted. There isn't any. Then assaulting the flank. So that's another 2. There's no additional assaulting units. But each support square, up to a maximum of 2, also counts for another 2 dice. This is a support square because it is one of these squares around the British. If this was one square over, they would have also got the support from this as well. They don't, they get the support from this one, so that's another 2 dice. The square doesn't contain a winning the fight. There's no fighting bonus, but they are using shock assault, so they get a +3. The target does not have a hill, or there's no hasty defences, and there's no trenches or fort. So we roll all of these. This is a good number actually for this. And same again, 5 6s are hits. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Not as many as I would have hoped for, but a decent number still. So the defenders, we have a damaged infantry unit because they're down to 1.5 bases, so they only get 1. There's 1 machine gun at strength, so that gets 5. And 1 machine gun which is damaged, that gets 3. There are no support squares for the Germans. They're pretty much out on their own. There's no winning the fight markers, there's no barrage markers in that square, and that's all there is. So let's see what happens here. They have 3 hits. So 3 hits on the British and 4 on the Germans. So the Germans will choose, they will put their hits on the professionals, 2 of them. The British will put 1 hit on each of the machine guns to try to get rid of those. Over here the British are going to choose to put 2 of their hits on the professionals because they've got a better save. The Germans will just put it on one of the generic units in the back. So let's work our way through these. So the German professionals saving on a 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 failures, so that's another base off and 2 casualties. That's a good start for the British there. So they're starting to pile up those casualties. The machine gun here is a 3, 4, 5, 6. If they get this, it destroys that machine gun. No, that's saved. And the last one, again, 3, 4, 5, 6 for that machine gun. That is saved as well, that's a 3. So they've caused at least 2 casualties in there. Now let's go to the British. 3, 4, 5, 6 is save. 2 kills. Now we've got Wilfred Owen who's just been killed. Wilfred Owen has died at Ors. He's disappeared crossing the canal. So that's 2 casualties for the British over there. Of course Wilfred Owen had to be in the professional unit. And the final one here, 5, that's a save. However, we're back to that, it's a tied result because the Germans got 2 casualties, the British took 2. So if the target achieves the more or the same casualties, 3 hits are applied to the attacker. So again, the British will they'll risk it for a biscuit and put their 2 on the professionals, and the Germans will again put theirs on there. So we'll roll for them. 3 and above is a save. 1 save, 1 kill. So that's another half base off. This is not going as expected. But you will take a lot of casualties in square bashing. And then their final one, 4, 5, 6 save. That's another casualty there. So this is going to affect their morale next turn. This is not going to be great. They've already got 4 casualties in there. There's no movement. The target is given a winning the fight. So that goes on them. So they get now 2 extra dice in their next attack. And then we remove all of the German casualties because they won't have to do a morale test. I kind of knew that this was going to be how these assaults would go in the first instance. You really do have to wear down your enemy in square bashing. But let's get over to this last one and see what happens with these. So we've got, again, 3 British battalions at strength. We also have a support here, so this is another one. And I think that's all it is. Oh no, they're attacking from the flank, so that's another 2 dice. So that's it, that's the British dice. 5s and 6s, that's 1. Terrific. The Germans will put that onto their infantry unit in there. Their infantry unit is at strength, so that's a 2. They've got 2 machine guns in there, both undamaged. So that's 12 dice. They don't have any support squares. They're not winning the fights, and there's no barrage. So that's it. So that's the German roll. So what have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3 hits. So not brilliant, but not bad. So the British are, there is a professional unit in there. So the British will put theirs on the professional unit, and then also the Germans will just put it on one of the, the Germans will put it on the professional unit as well. So saving these, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Germans. They haven't saved it, so that's a casualty and half a base off. Take off that base and half a base on. And the British are saving on a 3+ for their professionals. If they save this, they may do something, we'll see. Yes, they've saved all of theirs. Fantastic. So this is different. The assaulter achieves more casualties. So artillery guns are removed, there isn't any. 3 hits are applied to the target square with the save rolled out. So the Germans choose their first 2, they will again put them on their infantry. The British will put it on one of the machine guns. So let's have a look. Do the machine gun, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's saved. The infantry, 3, 4, 5, 6 because they're in houses. Both of those are saved. However, the target withdraws 1 square, taking their casualties, and then the assaulter must move at least 1 infantry or cavalry unit into the square. The assaulter gets a winning the fight to add to one of their units. So we will give that to the professionals, of course. So the Germans fall back here with their casualties, meaning they'll have to do a morale test in their turn. That is to attack into 2 machine guns and an at-strength unit. That is actually amazing. That is really good work. So this is one of the British objectives. They've captured that. And I'll move everybody in there, just in case. However, the issue here is that if the British want to now attack out of Landrecies, they actually have to roll to be able to move out of it during their movement turn. Moving into terrain is fine, moving out is difficult. So that's the British attacks overall. I'll get on with the German fire. The only units that can fire are units that haven't been assaulted. So it's these guys here and the 2 artillery over there. I'll sort those out off camera. But so far this has kind of gone how I thought it would. This has been a spectacular success. This one I would have thought they probably would have got into this. If they survive their morale test, they probably will next turn. And then over here I kind of knew they weren't going to get in anyway. So that was the British assaults. I'll do the German fire and we'll move on. A very quiet turn here for the Germans. Basically the British firing was very desultory, did very little. All the Germans have done is moved these units back so they don't get assaulted back from the British infantry and Landreckers. Then I did think about assaulting back into it, but with 2 machine guns and just 1 battalion, they probably wouldn't make it. So I'm going to fall them back to fully hold on to La Folie at the back here and see if they can hold that at least. And the Germans rolled for the countdown marker. They got 6, so that's gone from 18 down to 12. So potentially there may only be 2 more turns left in this game. There could be 12, but there could be 2. So let's see. In this British turn, very little has happened again. We've managed to call in an aircraft to come in to harass the Germans here. That will fire in the Germans' turn. I was unable to get 2 of these units out of Landreckers. The professionals were able to move out, so I've just put them over here rather than moving them forward into an attack over there, because I don't want to go into an attack unsupported. I brought forward a machine gun. These guys suffered in their morale, so they actually were unable to move. They couldn't assault out. The Germans also, in their turn, I forgot to mention, put up hasty defences in Ors. And over here, these guys suffered morale as well, so they have actually had to fall back, taking their casualties with them. So they've fallen back again. But these ones at least were able to pass their morale, so they've moved forward. Pretty poor, to be honest, as it stands at the end of this turn. I would have hoped to have at least taken 2 of the villages by now, but and then the time is of the essence, definitely, when there's only 12 left on the countdown timer. Let's see how the Germans get on in their turn. There wasn't a great deal the Germans could do in their turn, but they reduced the countdown timer down from 12 to 10. So it was really the British were firing. Their Bristol fighter came in, that fires 12d6 into one of the squares around it. It fired at the machine guns, caused 2 hits, and they saved them. The British firing elsewhere across the board really did nothing. Caused 1 casualty over here, and the Germans actually fired a suppression barrage which caused 1 British casualty, but what this means is these can't actually now move. So if they fail morale tests, instead of taking 1 hit, they're going to take 6 hits. It also means that they can't move out for their next turn, so it's really stalling that attack over there. I'm looking at this. I think I might only actually be able to get a draw, because I'll only be able to take probably 2 of these villagers. Probably take Ors next turn if they stay. They've only taken 1 damage, 1 casualty, so they'll probably pass their morale test. But over on this side, I need to get these guys out of Landreckers and to start to attack on La Folie at the back here. But I'm really thinking this is a bit of a lost cause on the right flank. I don't think that's going to happen. A draw would be capturing 2 villages. A victory would be capturing 3. So let's see how the British get on in their turn. This was another poor turn for the British. I got the professionals up. They were able to get out of there and they attacked into the German machine guns, both of which are damaged. I thought that would help, including support. Nothing happened. They basically got thrown back. It was 1 casualty for each. The German return fire really didn't do much though. These guys are still stuck in Landreckers. They can't get out. Fingers crossed they'll be out next turn. We've got the attack on Ors. This went in again, and all it served to do was cause more British casualties. Another 3 on top of the ones they already had, so they're slowly getting whittled down. Again, this really should have been an easy one at this point, with only half a base left and 2 damaged machine guns. And of course, over on here, on this side, absolutely no movement at all, because the British are still in that suppression barrage, which will now get removed anyway. So it's over to the Germans. Okay, in this turn the Germans have reduced the countdown timer to 8, so there's at least still 2 more turns left of this game, because the most they can get is 6. They've moved the 2 machine guns, damaged machine guns, into La Folie, and they've also moved some of their infantry out to be able to support the defence of Ors and also La Folie when that will happen. They've brought in an Halberstadt ground attack aircraft, which will fire in the British turn, so that's hovering above and they took a bit of damage from British fire over here. But that's been it for this turn. On the right flank, the British are now in a position again to assault into Chatillon, so they're going to do that. Again, this attack on Ors will go in. Fingers crossed it will work this time. The guys over in Landrecies have failed to get out, but I've also been able to get forward the professionals and the other units to attack La Follée in the back there. So let's see what happens with these assaults. That's 3 assaults going in. I would think there's probably a good chance that Ors will fall, possibly Chatillon, and I think La Follée may hold in the state that it's in at the moment, with 2 machine guns and a unit in there. We'll see what happens, but I certainly need to be breaking this German line at this point. That was a pretty spectacular turn for the British. Not only did they capture Chatillon on the right flank, but they also managed to capture La Follée on the rear as well. Smash the German defenders, push them back off the table edge. Now the German defence really is these 2 shattered units as mobile defence. The Germans managed to hold on to Ors again. They've still got the 2 machine guns in there, which they just will not break. But so far that's great. That means that 3 of the villages now are in British hands. So we have Landrecies, La Follée, Ors, and also over here in the dark, Chatillon. So actually the British have won this, but to achieve a spectacular victory they still need to get these Germans out of here. So let's see what happens in the German turn. In their previous turn, the Germans had fired a rolling barrage at the British lines, which had caused a little bit of damage. Sent the machine guns here scuttling back, and also destroyed a artillery piece as well at the back. However, the British didn't really need that, because this turn they pushed in and they've actually captured Ors. So it's now in British hands. Pushed the last remaining Germans out of it. They destroyed a machine gun as they did. These are the last Germans that are now pretty much in the centre defence. They're surrounded by British professionals and British line behind them with a machine gun in La Follée. The only other German units are the 2 artillery pieces over here and these ones over here. So although in the Germans' turn they actually got the counter down to 3, I'm gonna end the game there. I think we're done. This was a British victory. This is just the end of the British turn. Absolute complete victory. They captured all 4 of the villages. They're all in British hands, exactly as they wanted to. Lessons learned. This was a tough nut to crack. Literally going on the last turn. All the other ones, Landrecies fell almost immediately after the first assault, and then also so did La Follée as well. They went straight down, but it's just this one in the centre really held out. Chatillon gave me a bit of problems, but that was largely because of the artillery fire that was falling as the British were moving in to cross those bridges. But as a historical game and as a historical scenario, that is basically what happened anyway, apart from Ors not falling till the end. That was one of the first captures, that all of these villages, these frontline villages, were taken almost immediately by the British Army in 1918. So that was a great game of square bashing. I hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed playing it. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. Get me a few more hits on there. It's all appreciated. Every little helps. And I will probably, over the next few weeks, because we're still in lockdown, probably playing some more solo war games. So stay tuned for those. And again, thanks for watching.